What is up, everybody? It is Ron from Never Lucky Fantasy Sports. Welcome back to the channel. I am happy to have you guys here. I'm trying something different in this video, man. I'm doing week 2 matchups. We're going through every game, but I'm going to be doing like the 1 or 2 most important data points about each matchup. These are like the data points or the statistics I think are going to shape the way that the games go and like the most important things that'll impact fantasy. In my opinion, maybe you guys agree. But we're starting from the top, boys. We got Jaguars at Bengals. We have a 49.5 over-under. This is going to potentially be the game of the week. High-scoring game. That's what Vegas thinks. And I have a couple of interesting statistics here for you guys. So the Jaguars allowed a 51% completion percentage. They had 9 passes defended. That was against the Panthers last week. All right, man. So we start from the top. We got Jaguars at Bengals, 49.5 over under. I got a couple of interesting stats here. Jaguars have allowed a 51% completion percentage, one of the best in the NFL. 9 passes defended, also top 5. Only 5 quarterback pressures. This was all against the Panthers, keep in mind. And 0% hurry percentage. So they don't put a lot of pressure on the QB, but they're really good at defending. They play mostly zone. So I'm going to be referencing zone versus man coverages a lot in this video. So 6th in zone percent and 26th in man coverage. Those were the rates that they played man. And I want to show you guys this chart here. You guys can probably already see it. It's essentially just zone yards per out run on the x-axis and then man yards per out run on the y-axis. We see that Jamar Chase is 2nd in the NFL in yards per out run versus zone. And I just told you guys that the Jaguars play zone at the 6th highest percent. So they rarely play man, you know, less than anyone else in the NFL almost. So that means Jamar Chase is going to be eating. We see T. Higgins over here in the middle that against zone, he's still above average, but he's not kind of in that Jamar Chase stratosphere. What I think about this game is I think this game is going to be not a lot of pressure on Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase eating against the zone, which is the type of defense that the Jaguars really wants to play. Who knows what happens in week 2? Maybe they change it up because it's Chase and Higgins and Burrow. Maybe they play a little bit more man. But either way, dude, I think this is going to be a high scoring game. It's going to be Jamar Chase eating. Next, we got Giants at Cowboys, 45.5 over under. Interesting stat here. Giants allowed the single most rushing yards in week 1, 220, 6.9 yards per attempt, 2 rushing touchdowns. To be fair, it was Jaden Daniels. It was fucking Bill, who I guess is the best running back in the NFL now. Austin Eckler, I mean, shit, even Jeremy McNichols kind of got in there, got a couple of bitch slaps in. Javonte Williams in this game might go for another 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Giants, they were getting gashed all game. Now, I will say, preface, JD5, a rushing quarterback, really fucks things up for teams, man. Your Justin Fields, your JD5, your Lamar Jackson, they destroy defenses. They make defenses panic. They make them have to switch their coverages. Things could be different. You know, you got Dak Prescott now instead of JD5, so maybe the Giants can improve there, but I think this is going to be another Javonte Williams game. All right, next we got Bears at Lions with a 46.5 over-under. Revenge game, man. We got Ben Johnson returning to the Lions. Let's see what happens. This is going to be a home game for the Lions. They just lost last week. They're going to be playing angry. Bears played man coverage 3rd highest in the NFL, so 44.6% in man coverage. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams rank in the top 25 in yards per out run versus man. So they run the most man, and these two dudes are both top 25 against man. And then the run defense for the Bears also gave up the 10th most yards in week 1, and that was with a lead. So they were playing from ahead, but they still gave up quite a lot of yards. Then on the other side of the ball, the Lions played man coverage, the 9th highest, 33% of the time. And Rome Odunze had a 88.5 PFF grade versus man. So they play man the 9th highest, and Rome Odunze was one of the better wide receivers in the NFL, according to PFF, against man. Does that mean we're going to have another Rome Odunze game? We don't know. Let's see how much they play zone. Let's see how much they play man. If they play a lot of man, which it looks like they want to do it, 33% of the time. That's, most teams play mostly slot now in the NFL. So when we see 33%, that doesn't sound like a lot. It's only a third of the plays on defense, but it's actually quite a lot compared to the NFL average. So if it's man, Rome Odunze might eat. All right, next matchup, we got Rams at Titans. We have a 41.5 over-under. That's kind of sad. I mean, that's because of the Titans. That's probably because of Cam Ward. Titans played zone 76% of the time, so that's 10th in the NFL. Puka Nacua had a 91.8 PFF grade against zone, 20 fantasy points. So most of his production last week was against zone. Devonta Adams was kind of the man beater. He had like a 90 PFF grade against man. We have like the perfect duo of wide receivers where one of them's good against zone, one is good against man. To be fair to Puka Nacua, though, he was also fantastic against man. He breaks every single chart you try to show when it comes to like yards per out run, targets per out run. He's just phenomenal. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, easily. And on the other side, we got the Rams defense, who played zone at a top 10 rate. And Calvin Ridley actually produced 47% target rate versus zone. So the Rams play zone 10th most, and Calvin Ridley gets targeted a fuck ton against zone. So fire up Calvin Ridley. I'm not a financial advisor. You don't have to listen to me, but that's just what the data, that's what week 1 is telling us. All right, next we got Patriots at Dolphins, 42.5 over under, with Miami being a slight favorite, actually. Funnily enough, I mean, everyone is really flaming them, but it seems that people still think they might win this divisional game. So Patriots played man coverage the absolute most in the NFL, 52%. Last week, no Dolphins wide receiver caught a ball against man coverage. So the Dolphins are going up against the Patriots, who play man more than anyone, and they were successful at it. And the Dolphins, not a single player caught a ball against man last week. That is a little concerning. I'm really curious why people have Miami to win this game. I imagine it's probably that they're not going to be as bad as they were. I mean, they were absolutely horrible last week. And then on the other side of the ball, we got Miami defense, who plays zone 69% nice of the time. And last week, Keon Boutte had 16 PPR fantasy points lined up against zone. So Miami plays zone a lot, 69%. Boutte had 16 PPR points against zone last week. So another Boutte pop-off game. I have him as the start of the week. All right, man, we got 49ers at Saints. San Francisco's 3.5 point favorite. Kind of crazy. 40.5 over under. Low scoring game with San Francisco being a slight favorite. Damn, the Niners are down bad. They're losing everyone. The entire team's injured yet again, dude. That's like 3 seasons in a row that they just can't stay healthy. So the Saints play zone 74% of the time, and then they're actually really good in man, and they gave up the second fewest yards. It could be a mirage. It's just 1 week, but Ricky Big Dick Pearsall had 84 of his 108 yards against zone. So the Saints play a lot of zone, but they also give up the least yardage against man. So let's see what they do. If they play zone, which is what they like to do, it's not actually their best coverage. That's only 1 week, as I mentioned, man. But Ricky Pearsall, dude, he eats against the zone. That's when he was doing most of his damage. And without Juwan Jennings and Mac Jones being the quarterback, I think Pearsall could be getting double covered. I do have him as the start of the week as well as, look, you're still going to start Ricky Pearsall, but I just want you guys to know that if the Saints decide to play a lot more man, which is their forte, that's what they were better at last week, it could be tough sliding for Ricky Pearsall. They'll just throw a safety over the top. They're going to play man, and that's not where Ricky was doing most of his damage last week. So let's see what happens. All right, next we got Bills Jets, man. 47.5 over under. Buffalo almost a touchdown favorite. So I think this is going to be a tighter game, man. It's a divisional game yet again. All right, so in week 1, the Jets played man, the 5th highest rate. Keon Coleman had 14 PPR points versus man and 11 versus zone. So he was top 10 in yards per hour run versus man. He had a 33% target rate. So if the Jets are going to play man defense, again, the 5th highest rate, Keon Coleman was eating last week against man. It was not where Khalil Shakir was really being used. I think Khalil Shakir only had 1.6 PPR points versus man last week, so we could have another Keon Coleman game. And then on the other side of the ball, we got Garrett Wilson. He was great against man and zone. The Bills play pretty much the same league average in both coverages, so Garrett Wilson is going to be fine against both coverages. And I just want to say, man, the Bills' rush defense gave up the single highest rushing yards in week 1. I know it's Lamar Jackson, it's Derrick Henry, but that is their weakness. It was their weakness last year as well. And if the Jets, who are a run-first team, they want to run, they want to then run the ball, and then they want to run the ball a little bit more. I think you can fire up both Breece Hall and Braleon Allen in this game. I know that sounds crazy. Braleon Allen was barely involved. He got lucky to even get a touchdown last week, but I think this is a team that wants to run the ball. It is the Bills' weakness. I think they're going to want to keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. This is going to be a game that might be a slugfest. It might be a low time of possession game for the Bills. A lot of frustration maybe from Bills fans, but I think they're still going to win, obviously. But I can imagine this game being very disgusting and the Jets just running the fucking ball. All right, so we got Seahawks at Steelers, 40.5 point over under. That's not very good. 3.5 point favorites are the Steelers. Now, last week, the Steelers' rush defense gave up 182 yards. That was against Justin Fields, remember? It was the 5th most in the NFL. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground. Not Fields, but the offense did. And they only had 1 passing touchdown. So Justin Fields and the Jets did most of their damage on the Steelers' defense on the ground, right? So, again, as I mentioned, this is the Fields effect. It makes it really tough on teams to defend against the run. But I think if the Seahawks want to repeat kind of the success that the Jets had against the Steelers last week, it's going to be Charbonnet, it's going to be Kenneth Walker, both of them being pretty usable, pretty startable in this game. So I'd fire both of them up. Then on the other side of the ball, the Seahawks were bottom 10 in yards allowed in zone coverage. So they play that about 76% of the time. So the Seahawks want to play zone, but they give up a shit ton of yardage doing that. And then we have Calvin Austin and DK Metcalf, both of them being top 15 against zone. So Seahawks want to play zone. They're bad at it. Calvin Austin and Metcalf are great against zone. So if you have both of those guys, I'd be firing both of them up this week. Next, we got Browns at Ravens. Look, man, this one sucks. 11.5 point favorites at home. Browns could find themselves in a blowout here, but I think it's going to be a better game than people expect. The Browns ranked top 5 in man coverage rate and had the best team PFF coverage grade, dude. Keep in mind, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were both blanked, essentially. They did nothing against this Browns defense. Now, the Ravens might be a different beast. Hopkins and Flowers were both top 10 against man. So the Browns, they played man a lot. They were super good in man. But the Ravens, both of their wide receivers were top 10 against man. So something's got to give here. Are the Ravens going to break the Browns and be like, nah, you know what? Fuck you. We don't care that you're going to be playing man. We're going to be throwing the ball on you guys. Or are they going to play it safe and just run the ball? Which they know they can handily win this game if they just feed Derrick Henry, maybe even get Justice Hill a little bit involved to get a little bit of tread off of Derrick Henry's tires. So this can be a game where I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if the Ravens are just going to stick to their guns and run the ball or just try to really pressure and question how good that man coverage is on the Browns. See if they can do what Chase and Higgins weren't able to. I can imagine them doing that, right? It's kind of like a statement in a divisional game. So on the other side of the ball, the Ravens, they didn't give up too much on the ground, but they did give up 3 touchdowns, right? Again, Josh Allen, that changes things. Much different situation here. The Browns don't really want to run the ball. They can't run the ball very much, even if Judkins plays. I don't know if they'll be able to. I expect another heavy pass attempt game by Joe Flacco. They're going to be losing most of the game. And because the Ravens play mostly man defense, 6th highest in the NFL, that does give the edge to Jerry Jeudy. So I love Cedric Tillman as a player, but in this one against man, this is usually where Jeudy kind of eats. So I think Jeudy is a safe play. You can start Tillman as well from, you know, a team that's going to be playing from behind, but I'll be concerned in this game about time of possession. I just don't know if the Browns are going to have the ball quite enough to actually to have enough successful fantasy players, if that makes any sense. So next up, we got Broncos at Colts, 43.5 over under, with Denver being a slight favorite, 1.5 point favorites. Colts were top 10 coverage in both zone and man, so they were great in both. Again, it was against Miami, who couldn't really do much. Troy Franklin had most of his production against zone, with Sutton kind of being a god against man coverage. So, all right, man, so the Broncos played man, the second highest rate, 50.9, and they were very good at it. Michael Pittman was very successful against zone. Last week, he had 17 out of his 19 PPR fantasy points against zone. So the Broncos are going to be mostly playing man. Does that mean Michael Pittman's going to be able to produce against this man defense that's really good? I would fade him. I'd honestly fade everyone. Obviously, you have to start Jonathan Taylor. You're probably going to start Michael Pittman, but I'd be very worried, man. The Broncos defense, they were 7th in the NFL. They only gave up 71 rushing yards, so even Jonathan Taylor might have tough sledding out there. Now, this is a thing where the Colts O-line is really good, right? So it's possible that Jonathan Taylor still ends up eating. We just don't really know at the moment, so I'm just worried about starting anyone against the Broncos. Probably all season I'll be fading people against the Broncos. All right, this one's a quick one. We got Panthers at Cardinals, 44.5 over under. Cardinals being a 6.5 point favorite. And this is an interesting stat here, man. One that should make you very excited if you're a Ted McMillan owner. Cardinals played zone coverage 77% of the time. That's 9th highest in week 1. And Tedero McMillan, I don't know if you guys can see it here in this little chart. He had a 88.6 PFF grade against zone, 2.96 yards per out run. Man wasn't very good. So Tedero McMillan struggles against man. We kind of knew that coming in. He did most of his damage against zone. He was very good against zone. And the Cardinals play zone 9th highest in the NFL, at least they did in week 1. So if the Cardinals come out in zone defense, yet again, zone coverage, Tedero McMillan might have an explosion game here, playing from behind. Bryce Young trying to prove that he is not dog shit. Let's see what happens, man. I think if you have Tedero McMillan, I will be starting him. And now I move probably to the game of the week, 47.5 over under. We got Eagles at Chiefs. Eagles being a 1.5 point favorite. So let's see, man. This is a immovable object meets an unstoppable force. Chiefs are getting absolutely smashed by Justin Herbert in the air. 304 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was killing them. They didn't want to run the ball because running the ball against the Chiefs is very difficult. I think the Eagles are going to have to throw the ball in this one, which makes me fucking scared because I'm playing against A.J. Brown in my most important league. But let's just hope that A.J. Brown gets taken out of the game yet again. They double cover him. And this might be a Devonta Smith game because Dallas Goedert is out. And when Dallas Goedert is out, both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith eat. But let's see if the Chiefs play a little double coverage on A.J. Brown. This could be a Devonta Smith game. So I think Saquon Barkley can still get home just off of volume alone. But this is going to be a game, man, that could be a slugfest. It could be a very difficult game for the run game. It might be a game where the Eagles are finally forced to open it up and actually throw the ball. Now, I will say, man, this could be a situation. This could be a game where the Chiefs can dominate. There is a path for them to dominate here. They don't want to go down 0-2. That'll be horrible for them. The Chargers can... I think the Chargers are really going to be great this year, so I think the Chiefs cannot afford to go down 0-2. And there's a chance that the Chiefs defense really shows up in this one, and they really make it tough for Jalen Hurts, without Dallas Goedert as that security blanket underneath, it could be tough, man. It could be tough sledding. They're not going to be able to run the ball very much. The ball in Jalen Hurts' hands as a passer, that's not where the Eagles prefer to be. I think he can definitely produce. He can definitely be a good quarterback passing the ball. I used to be a non-believer in Jalen Hurts as a passer, but I love him. I think he's a great passer. I think he can definitely produce. There's a chance that the Chiefs kind of strangle him in this one and they make it really tough on him. That does it. Those are the Sunday morning and afternoon games. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. I'll be live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time doing live. I'll be drinking some beers, answering questions, helping you guys with sit starts if you need a second opinion. Yeah, that does it, man. Make sure you guys go in the Discord if you want to catch those other games. I'll be sharing some of the stats, some of the learnings that I have in the Discord community, probably tomorrow or later on in the week. So I'll see you guys tomorrow or see you guys on Monday for the next videos. Take care.